All right. We're here with Adam Yuro on the Iron Shepherds podcast. Adam, good morning. How are things in Elizabeth, New Jersey?
Good morning. Today's a good day. My fiance's outside putting up all our Halloween decorations because we finally got a break of the cold.
Nice. Nice. Typical skeletons and stuff, or are you doing some kind of theme?
Yeah, we got the giant, like 12-foot skeleton with the moving eyes and the big dog, and then she bought a bunch of cobwebs and stuff. So, typical Halloween stuff.
Nice. Do you get a lot of trick-or-treaters?
We do. We're in a good area. Where I was about a year ago, I got zero trick-or-treaters. So it's definitely exciting that we'll get some to the door this year.
Right. But you bought like 42 pounds of candy for the time that nobody showed up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is what it is. Me and my kids got to pig out on candy for a couple of weeks.
Got it. Got it. Cool. Well, so hey, why don't you tell us about, it's Yuro Holdings, right? So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so Yuro Holdings, we go by Yuro, but our URL is Yuro Holdings, and we are an e-commerce agency. We don't focus just in one specific marketplace like other agencies do. We do a very broad amount. Any e-commerce marketplace you could think of, we've worked with, and we're able to handle it, as well as operations side, payment processing side. We have a good network of partners that we work with that, if it's something outside of our expertise, we're able to put them in the right direction with someone that we trust personally.
Gotcha. So tell the audience a little bit about marketplaces. I think what you're saying is beyond a traditional, say, brand's website where, let's say you're going to go to levi's.com as an example. You're actually playing in the space where they could publish their stuff on what'd you say, a marketplace where multiple brands do that. Is that kind of your specialty?
Yeah, so we do help them get their own site up and running if it's not
Mhm.
something that they've ever focused on. But we specialize in getting them up on Walmart, Target, Wayfair, Amazon, obviously. Throughout my career, I've made a lot of connections within all of these marketplaces. So a lot of these people that we work with, they might not necessarily know how to get onto those sites without just doing the first step of creating the account. But once the account's created, they obviously want a successful launch. So that's where I come in because I have the partnerships, well, the relationships at those different companies to make sure that their products launch and they launch successfully.
And so does your agency then get involved in things like SEO and email marketing and everything to drive traffic to the marketplaces?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We do a lot with SEO, email marketing. It really depends on the products that the company has. If they only have like one or two products, it doesn't make sense to do a huge email marketing campaign. But on the other side, through our newsletter, we do spotlight these products for them, which, we have a reach of over 11,000 people in our own newsletter. So, we throw that product in there, it gets in front of those eyes that might not necessarily have gone in front of.
Got it. Interesting. Interesting. So that's cool. Yeah. So that would make sense. So then when you get into that, do you say, okay, we're going to take over your search engine optimization, or do you often have people who say, well, we have got somebody who does that in house, and then you kind of advise them on how they're scoring and everything?
It's a little bit of both. There's a lot of companies I work with that just absolutely know nothing about SEO and they're failing essentially because of that. And that's where I come in. I help them optimize it, make sure their listings are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and really making sure that it really fits Google's mandate for SEO, but also with the age of AI, making sure that it's going to pop up if ChatGPT is the source that the customer is trying to source the product through.
Oh, interesting. So tell me a bit more about using ChatGPT to source the product. I think maybe I'm a bit behind on that. On that.
Absolutely. So ChatGPT has actually become one of the biggest places that people search for products now outside of, going to like Amazon or Google. AI is growing tremendously. Walmart recently just announced that them and ChatGPT will be partnering together. So if you're looking up a toilet brush, for instance, and you go into ChatGPT, you're going to see listings from Shopify stores because Shopify is another one that teamed up with them, and
Hmm.
Walmart. Amazon, though, will not pop up, and that's because they want to do their own thing, which is fine, just like they pulled all their listings off of Google. But, that's obviously Amazon's been such a big share of the e-commerce, division or industry for so long that now that these other companies like Shopify, Walmart are going where the customers are going, it's definitely going to show who's moving with the times and who's not. And I'm really excited to see what's going to happen there.
That's cool. Yeah. So, I mean, things are moving so fast because I think maybe it was 2 months ago. I think I got myself comfortable with ChatGPT was the place you wanted to go if you wanted to deep research something, and fact check and do all that stuff. And Perplexity was really more of the go to find products. But like I said, everything's moving so fast that it's obviously all of that's filling in together.
Oh yeah, ChatGPT is definitely seeing, OpenAI themselves are seeing where people are, what they're looking for. And I know like myself and my fiance, like I use ChatGPT for like everything now because it does do the deep web research that I want it to do. And then, obviously people are able to skew things within there by publishing other things. So, after getting that information, fact checking it a little bit to make sure that what it told me is true is obviously the best bet, and not just rely on whatever ChatGPT spit out. I know that I've been working with it personally when it comes to Euro because when I ask what Euro does, it spits out things that definitely don't have to do with Euro, but there's so many other companies out there. There's a Yuro Holdings with an E. There's a Euro gaming company. There's a Euro product design company. There's a Euro law firm. So I get why ChatGPT has a little bit of difficulty when it's pulling all this information from all over the web.
So, that's interesting. Um, have you had success with saying, "Hey, actually, no, doesn't Euro with a Y does not actually do this," and have ChatGPT like clean it up and go, "Oh, hey, I'm sorry, I'll keep note of that for future reference."
Oh yeah, I've been, trying to train ChatGPT to know exactly what Euro does and what we're able to handle and who our demographic is and everything like that. So when other people search within ChatGPT, it knows that information already. Like
Yeah,
I've sat there for a good probably like 8 hours one day, making sure it knew everything and anything it could about Euro, the different colors within the logo, even like exactly what RGB that is, what our, mascot looks like, everything. So when I go into ChatGPT, even if I'm using like a fresh prompt, I'm able to say like, hey, make an image of Wade doing this, which is our mascot, and it's able to pop out my mascot doing what I want it to do. Or if I say, hey, make an image, using the Euro color scheme, it's able to do it and it's doing it way better. I don't use it for anything that has to do with like actual writing. I use Gemini for that because I've seen that Gemini and ChatGPT pop out pretty close to the same stuff, but at the same Gemini just makes it sound a little bit less robotic.
got it, got it. Interesting. All right, so tell me about Wade. What is Wade your mascot?
Wade is a wallaroo.
Okay,
I looked them up. I was trying to come up with a mascot for Euro, and I typed in Euro animal, and apparently a wallaroo is known as a Euro. So I
okay,
was, EURO, but I was just like, well, if Wade's a Euro, known as a Euro, then Wade is now uh part of Euro. And I named him Wade because I'm a huge Deadpool fan, and I was like, Wade Wilson, Deadpool, gotta go that way.
very cool, very cool. So I don't want to go down a rabbit hole on the Wallaroo, but when you said it, all I could think of, I remember there was a cartoon. I still don't even remember what it was, or not a cartoon, but a commercial. And I still don't know what it was, but there was song about what's a wallaroo or something like that. Do you happen to remember that?
I do not, but I know
Uh,
that Wade often gets confused for a kangaroo because, a wallaroo is just like a smaller version of a kangaroo. But,
oh,
he's been useful. Like, I just established a partnership with Retail Cloud, which is the people that own Until Gone, Daily Steals, and Pick Your Plum. And when I was doing the announcement with it, because of one of their sites' mascots is a squirrel, I did it with, Wade and a squirrel shaking hands as the partnership announcement. Cause I was like, there we go. We could use both mascots and there's no, you know, me on there kind of thing.
right, right. So do you use him as a chatbot or anything to support your customers if they're trying to navigate? Have you made an AI out of Wade?
So he is the chatbot that is on our site. So if you go to our site and you talk with the chatbot, you're talking with Wade. But and as well as if you're on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, Wade is generally the person that responds before a human picks up. Then, like our newsletter, obviously, in the world of online sales or anything like that, when you have a newsletter, you try not to use your main domain. So I have a separate domain just for the newsletter to go out because if that gets marked as spam or something like that, it doesn't affect the main URL. And with that, Logan is the one that sent that out. Logan is Wade's friend, and Logan, obviously, I stole that name from Wolverine, and Logan's the one that does that. So if anybody responds to Logan through the newsletter, Logan is just another AI that produces the newsletter.
And is Logan a wallaroo too, or does he have a persona?
Logan, I made a honey badger because I felt like I didn't want to make him a Wolverine because then it was too on the nose. But at the same time, I made him a honey badger because I was just like, that's, you know, what the internet knows as the crazy animal.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit, how do you find customers? How do you get prospects and so forth?
So a lot of it is via referral. We have a referral program where, if you wanted to join or someone else wanted to join it, they make 10% of whatever revenue we generate off of the person that they sent us within the first year. Um, Usually, most of our clients are one-off clients. It's a couple of weeks or months to get them implemented. I do have a couple of repeat clients that I work with, but most of it is a lot of one-off stuff. We try to steer away from the retainer part of it, even though we do have a couple of retainer clients, because once we start getting the retainer in there, you have to start doing billable hours and stuff like that. And it just gets really messy on the finance side when it's just like, hey, we'll charge you X amount to get this done. Once it's done, you pay half up front, half at the end if you're happy, and then we move on.
So you're more of a we'll get you live on these marketplaces where you want to be, and then once you're live, you got to have somebody in house to manage new products or markdowns or inventory stockouts or things like that. You don't.
Yeah, 'cause most of the clients I'm working with are within the e-commerce industry already. There are a couple of wholesalers that we've worked with. And luckily, because of my network, I was able to suggest somebody to come on to their team and, handle it once I got it set up, if that was the route they wanted to take. If not, I do have wholesalers that I get them set up. They're seeing the sales, they're happy. Then one of the marketplaces changes their rules or their terms. So they reach back out and they're like, hey, our sales went down drastically over the past 2 weeks. Can you look into it? And generally, when it comes to something like that, because they're an existing customer, I'll charge them a lot less than I would for a brand new customer coming in because I already built out everything for them. I know exactly what I have to go in and fix to, get it back to where it needed to be, or at least where it was. And then if there's anything in there that I see that I can tweak while I'm at it, I just throw that in.
Yeah. It seems like in this day and age, and, I think probably the extreme example is Microsoft Excel, but they make a change every week. it just seems like I'll have a spreadsheet up and all of a sudden it's got the little button that says click restart to apply the changes. I imagine the way the world has gotten that more often than not, these marketplaces are making changes multiple times per year that probably affect their users. Is that right, or
Oh yeah, that's
is it myself?
absolutely true. I've been doing this for over a decade, and from what Amazon was a decade ago to where Amazon is now, to use as an example, because they're the ones that do it the most. If you had the same mindset going into Amazon today that you did 10 years ago, you're not going to be successful.
Right, right,
Amazon has changed so much in the past 10 years. They've changed so much in the past 6 months, let alone that if you went in there, thinking, oh, I know Amazon, and you go in there, but you haven't touched it in 6 months, you're going to be lost once you log into that portal and you're
sure,
starting to try to do what you need to do.
right, right. So you've talked a bit about some of your history. How did you come up through this and end up with becoming a founder of this type of an agency?
So my career started with me actually being in a really hard spot in my life, and I was just trying to find anything to make money. And I saw a random warehouse position in the town I lived in that I knew exactly where they were. And I went in, I interviewed, the guy ended up liking me for a warehouse position, just to pick and pack orders and ship them out. But when I walked into his warehouse, it was a complete disaster. And I was like, no, we need to organize this, make it so it's easy. And once I got the shelving in there, got the buckets in there, got everything set up, the 8 hours of shipping got dropped down to about 2 hours. He was just like, okay, you're too smart for the warehouse. And he started teaching me the e-commerce side, the actual sales and customer service and listing side of everything. And he had me do it the hardest, most tedious way possible to get these new listings up. And then once I learned that, he's like, okay, now here's the easy way of doing it. And then, from there, I ended up over at a brand and I helped them get their complete e-commerce setup. And then I just progressively kept going from company to company, basically doing that. I would walk in the door, see their issues, fix all their issues, and then I wasn't being challenged anymore. Everything was kind of running smoothly, so I'd look for my next, opportunity. And I realized that from a resume or LinkedIn standpoint, me doing that, it just looked like I was job hopping. And I didn't want my career to look like I just wasn't loyal and I just jumped all over the place. So I started my own, and now I help these same companies that I would have been an employee of, but now I'm a client of,
Yeah, got
or
it.
they're a client
Interesting.
of mine.
Got it. And it was probably about a week or so ago that I last looked at your LinkedIn profile, but I seem to remember you had the little open to work green thing in there. Are you currently looking for a job to offset what you're doing with your agency, or was that more like, hey, I'm open to taking on new clients for what we do?
So it's a little of both. With Euro, I'm doing well. I don't have to worry about if, I'm going to have food on the table or, my bills are paid or anything like that. But I also use that open to work thing. There might be an opportunity for me to join a company at a more senior level where I can rely more on my team to handle Euro while
Hmm.
I pursue the next step in whatever my career might be.
Right, right. So somehow figure out how uh, to automate or push off some of the stuff that Adam does on a daily basis.
Yeah, generally I work with a strong team of, they're 1099 consultants. We don't have actual any employees. We've found that as the best way of doing things because I don't necessarily need a Walmart expert on my payroll 24/7, 365.
Sure.
I need them for specific projects. And when they come in, they help under the Euro umbrella, but it also helps them, get a little bit of extra income in their pocket. It doesn't hurt them, you know, with whatever their job is either, because they're not leaving for Euro and then, 2 months go by and I don't need a Walmart expert and I'd have to, either let them go
Right.
or, tell them like, hey, I got to pay you a lot less if you want to stay on. And I don't want to risk somebody's financial stability based off of, my need at that moment in time.
Right. So it's kind of that gig work thing, right? It's there's a lot of people out there with specialties that, you can draw on them when you need them. And so you're doing a lot of it's probably B2B, or at least if they are a single person, they're probably doing that with multiple different companies, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. These are people that I've met throughout my career. I worked side by side with, and I know that they have the skills and the mentality and everything to get the work done and get it done correctly and on time. So those are the ones that I lean on. I've very outsourced twice to people that I didn't personally know, and it caused me more headache than it did help, because once I saw their finished product, I was just like, okay, well, now I have to redo this entire thing and make sure it's right.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to do a quick callback to you were mentioning working in the warehouse and how the person gave you the hardest possible way to do something and then said, "Okay, I'm going to show you the easiest one." How long ago was that?
That was over a decade ago.
Okay.
Uh,
Um so that can kind of call back a little bit. My wife and I used to have our own clothing company from it was like 2005 to 2013. And when I think back to the days of how we did stuff, there were so many manual processes. Not just, I mean, obviously the making of goods, unless you're some sort of a big, factory like the Gap, a lot of your smaller niche brands are, of course, making manual stuff there. But we did a lot of paperwork manual, a lot of order taking manual, all that stuff. Have you found that with the new tools, and you said you're doing a lot of chat GPT, have you found a way to automate a lot of the things that maybe you've done manually for the last, 5 years or anything like that?
oh, absolutely. There's so many tools out there now that help, streamline the way that you're doing things. Even when I first started out in e-commerce, there wasn't tools like Rhythm or Seller Cloud or anything like that that you were able to list on multiple marketplaces at the same time, but keep all of your data in one place easily. So you were working off Excel sheets. You were going into every marketplace and listing the products, on that marketplace by themselves. But now there's so many systems that you just click a button and you might be on Amazon, but now you click a couple of buttons and now you're across 10 other channels. One of the places that I had a brief stint at, that's what they brought me in to do. They were an Amazon FBA company. That's all they did, and they brought me in for a marketplace expansion. And I went in there and they wanted me to do everything manually. And I was like, what's your end goal with this? And it was basically, I get one marketplace up and running, they hire someone to take it over, and I get the next marketplace. And then I sat there and I ran the numbers and I showed him like, hey, if you buy me this one piece of software, I can manage all of these marketplaces that you want to get into myself, which will cost you a quarter of hiring those 10 employees. And even if he was just paying them minimum wage, like those 10 employees would have cost way more than just getting me that piece of software. Then I got it up and running, got him across all the places, made sure that everything was correct. He hired somebody to be underneath me. I trained them on everything that I did, and then I moved on once that process was done.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then, as far as, cause you probably have, I don't know, I'm making a guess. You could have 8, 10, 12 different, projects going on at the same time. Um, how do you keep everything together of who's working on what? And, oh, this guy who's the SEO guy is, got 4 different things to do. Are you using any kind of tools for that stuff?
I personally track people's hours to make sure like they're doing their thing. I have a software that I send them the link to. They have to click into it when they're working on it, and then when they're done, they click out of it. And I'm able to
Oh,
see like what they're doing, what they're working on, it's a lot of trust at the same time because, they might click in and say they're working, but I'm not physically seeing what they're doing. I'm not seeing their screen. I'm not seeing anything. So it is a lot of trust. But at the end of the day, if they say that they did 4 hours and I see, 30 minutes worth of work, knowing like how the work is done, that's when I start questioning things. Luckily, I haven't had to worry too much about that. Everyone's been pretty honest with it. And if I tell them like, hey, this is due, on Halloween, we have to make sure this is done by Halloween. If you have to put in the extra hours, put in the extra hours. Most of them are willing to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to get clarification, I won't ask you the software name because they don't need you to do free advertising for them. But so would that, let's just say it was me, I click on a link and I start doing stuff. If I just clicked on the link and I went and sat in my backyard for an hour and had a cup of coffee, will that tell you, well, he was on the link, but he wasn't actually doing anything on his computer, or
No,
it's,
it won't. Like I
oh,
said,
okay.
it's a lot of trust-based things, but
Yeah.
it's just so I know, like, okay, this person did something today.
Yeah.
And, generally they send me a quick recap. If I see that they were online, when they end, an automated email goes out like, hey, just quick recap, 3 bullet points basically, like what did you work on today? And then they let me know. And I'll get to that email when I get to it, their response, because I'll see the title on it. I'm like, okay, this isn't anything urgent that I need to look at this very second in time.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Well, hey, I know we're past the bottom of the hour, but if you got a couple extra minutes, I'd love to have you. Like I said, as we were ramping up, I saw you've won a couple of CEO awards that sounded pretty impressive to me. If you'd fill in a little bit about how you go about that and what those are, I'd love to hear a little bit.
Yeah, so I in the past couple of well, this year, I won 3 different awards for CEO of the Year, Northeast USA, through the Excellence Awards. I won World CEO Awards through Golden Tree, and I won a Global Recognition Award through Global Recognition Awards, all for what I've done with Euro. The process to each of them is they have to speak with people that I've worked with. They have to speak with people that worked for me and make sure that I have the right fit. Plus, they do a deep dive into the company, and those all, luckily, I've won. And also throughout this year, Euros won 3 different awards. We won Best of the Best in America for digital transformation. We won another Global Recognition Award, and then we won a top quality mark reward for digital transformation in all of them, actually.
That's pretty impressive. So in those situations, I know you said they have to talk to your customers. Do you get nominated by your customers, or you nominate yourself and say, here's a case study I have, or here's a couple of case studies. These are the people you talk to.
So the nomination process, I've nominated myself for Euro for all the awards that we won. But, I've had to submit information to all of them to make sure
Sure.
that like I qualified to even submit it. And then with the CEO one specifically, they had to speak to people that worked for me. If I couldn't nominate myself and then be like, yeah, I'm the best CEO in the world kind of thing. And I'm the only person they ever spoke to.
Right. Right. Cool. Well, this has been super interesting, and I want to be respectful for your time. Why don't you give yourself a plug and let the people out there know how to find you, should they have a need for your business.
Absolutely. So we are Euro. We're a all-in-one white glove e-commerce agency. That means unlike other agencies, we focus purely on one marketplace. We help you with every marketplace, whether it's listing, marketing, account management. We do a deep dive into all of it and make sure it's running so you don't have the stress on you anymore. You can find us at www.euroholdings.com. You could email us at info@euroholdings.com, or you can drop us a call or a WhatsApp at
That was very complete. Well, cool, man. It's really good to meet you, and I hope we could stay in touch. I'd love to keep track of how your business is going, and certainly if I can help you with anything, I'm happy to do it.
Absolutely. I actually plan on starting my own podcast because that seems like the thing to do. So maybe you'll be a guest on mine one day.
I would be absolutely happy to do that. That's it.